bit different today. Welcome to the Spotlight. The beginning of our show, I would like to give a huge shout out to my sponsor, Jason Curtis of Bonvera. I have been trying a bunch of his samples that he sent me, and I gotta tell you, the magnesium, A-okay, good stuff. I've also tried this other cleanser that he sent me over, and I am absolutely thrilled with what it's doing for my face because, the more I look in the mirror in the morning, the more I see my mother, and this stuff actually helped my mother go away today. This is wonderful. So I want to introduce you to a couple of my cohorts. This is unusual. I don't usually have my guests on screen as I'm doing the intro to the show, but this is a two-person interview, right? Or actually three, including me. And so we have to structure the room a little bit different today. So let me introduce to you, please, Ms. Aphrodite Mirisis, Feng Shui consultant and co-author, and Joanne Angelberry Cologne, the other co-author, personal trainer with holisticfitness.blog. And both of them collaborated on this amazing book that I got to tell you, I never would have imagined it wouldn't have occurred to me to mesh these two fields of work. But you seem to have done it very successfully. And people are intrigued with what you have come up with here. So the title of the book is Declutter, Reshape, and Feng Shui. And I love it. So let me begin by asking you both, one at a time if you'd like. We'll start with Joanne. What brought you to decide that you needed to collaborate on this book? What was that?
Long story short, because we only have an hour. My portion of the book has been 10 years in the making. And Aphrodite, believe it or not, was a big help in the process of me creating this book 10 years ago in a workshop I had conducted. And when I was finished conducting the workshop, I sat and reread everything that Aphrodite had transcribed for me. And at that time, 10 years ago, I just felt like there was something missing in the process of putting this book, of publishing this book, and just literally calling it Declutter and Reshape. And something was like, there's something missing, and I couldn't figure out what it was then. Mm-hmm. So fast forward, obviously 10 years later, through all the different modalities that I have been gifted with, many of the modalities were added to the process of the Declutter and Reshape portion of it. However, I'm very gifted, but the one thing I would not classify myself to be a specialist in or an expert in is Feng Shui. Mm-hmm. I know a lot about it, but it's not my go-to. It's not what I would align clients, be aligned to clients with. And being that I knew Aphrodite what is a Feng Shui consultant, I was like, wow. And then of course, I'm always tuned into my spirit communication. Mm-hmm. And I actually heard, well, here's your book, Declutter, Reshape, and Feng Shui. So I reached out to Aphrodite, had a conversation with her, and I said, would you be interested in collaborating with me on this book? And she's like, of course. So okay. The two of us got together.
I'm gonna dip to Aphrodite now. What made you say, of course? Like, no worries. Yeah, of course.
Because it makes so much sense. Decluttering is energy, and it's also physical weight loss. So putting the two together makes perfect sense. When we try to release energy, we're doing it physically and exteriorly through our space around us. So by working on that together, physically and outwardly, I think it makes perfect sense to blend the two and make it into a great, exciting, and very educational book.
Fantastic. As you were saying that, I had to think back to my stepdad, because it does seem to be a pattern that people who don't want to let go of things, collect things, even to the point of hoarding things, also tend to gather weight, right? As if they're protecting their chakras or their heart or, their creativity and creating a barrier there. So it does, at least in my experience, seem to go hand in hand, that when people hoard and hang on to things. They do that in every area of their lives, whether it's their home, whether it's their weight, their bodies. So this really does seem like a natural mesh. I'm glad that you guys have landed on it, if you will. Joanne, did you want to continue what you were saying?
Oh no, I think between Aphrodite and I think we brought it together.
Awesome. All right, now let me ask Aphrodite this question. What initially got you interested in Feng Shui?
Well, it was sort of a very tragic event in my life. I suddenly lost my husband. I didn't have, I knew I had to start over somehow. I had to like cleanse my soul, my spirit. I didn't have the budget to actually do a complete makeover in my home, but I needed to change things up a little bit. Too many memories, good and bad, were surrounding me, and the energy was very stagnant. So I fell upon a Feng Shui consultant who came to my home, helped me out, and with a minimal amount of money, I was able to just rearrange furniture, paint some different wall colors, and automatically I felt the energy just open up and release from me. And I mean, the memories are still there. I still love my husband. I'll always love him and remember him, but my home is a bit more comfortable in which to live, with all this freshness and new energy coming in and surrounding me. So that's how I got started.
That's phenomenal. I love that.
Yeah.
I love that. So now, how does decluttering and shifting up, opening up all of this new space for yourself also align with fitness for you specifically, Aphrodite?
For me?
Yeah.
Well, once the energy started coming in and surrounding me, I really felt such an energy within myself to say, well, I can breathe a little bit better. I can do something for myself, as opposed to always worrying about this and that and the future. I began to concentrate more on the present instead of worrying about the future and thinking about the past that I cannot change. But I knew that I could change my future by working on my present. So I just began to expose myself to different physical, activities, and I just got into it, just blending in, and the energy just really helped to release that within me.
That's phenomenal. It makes sense to me that once you reclaimed that space, there was a certain energetic weight that you didn't have to manage every moment of every day anymore, that gave you access to doing something else with that energy. That's brilliant. Mm-hmm. Joanne, what do you think?
Oh, I think it's awesome. I think it I know Aphrodite many years, and the transformation that she has experienced regarding the decluttering process and her Feng Shui work, for herself. I mean, because I truly believe that before we can actually help others do what they need to do, it really starts with self. And I've seen remarkable transformational changes with Aphrodite in regards to just her on a individual level. I mean, she literally sparkles as she talks, and she sparkles as she walks. I mean, she's just one big sparkle.
That's phenomenal. That's phenomenal. Now, what was the process like for the two of you? Because from what I'm gathering, Joanne, you had most of the book already formed, whether it was written or not, and then it asked Aphrodite to join in with you. So was it like a full rewrite of the book, or were there pieces that Aphrodite filled in along the way? How was the collaboration process for you?
For me, I mean, yes, as we said earlier, I had this thought process 10 years ago, and I had everything transcribed. And it would have been really easy if everything would have just already been and I didn't have to go and redo. But unfortunately, that doesn't work out that way, because some of the things that were in the book from the first process of the book didn't really fit in the direction I was taking it this time around. So I did have to rewrite the whole book again in regards to where my thoughts were going and how I was being guided regarding what I really wanted this book to present and offer to the readers. So yeah, it was a lot of rewriting and realigning the process. And then, I mean, Aphrodite's part of it, from my end, it just fit right in. It really just fit right in on my end. It wasn't to the point where her and I had to go back and forth a lot on the information that was being put in. It was like I had the chapters that I wrote, and then it literally, from my point of view, and Aphrodite can, give me hers as well. From my point of view, it just really fit how my last chapter was in the book, fit right into her chapters. It was just like a perfect fit.
Yeah, and I didn't see Joanne's work prior to mine. She sent it to me after I finished mine, and it was amazing how it fit in. As far as my writing, I love to write. When I start, I just keep going with my thoughts, and I didn't need to change too much. But my strategy initially was to, and fortunately, it stayed this way, to bring out the why we have to declutter in our environment, not how to do it. And although I do give some steps in my book, I don't actually say, take a box and fill this. And I want it to be more of an internal spiritual journey, because everyone does it differently for their own reasons. So I wanted the book to fit into, sort of to mesh with each individual, character personality. So, I mean, my writing just flowed because of that. And with Joanne's initial writing, it just all meshed in perfectly.
Don't you just love it when a plan comes together?
Especially when
you didn't plan it.
I like to answer that if I can.
Go for it.
In reference to what Aphrodite was saying about when one is decluttering their space, and it's not just about grabbing a box and just putting everything in, and the process that she has, I truly agree with the process, because again, the whole part of the book is about decluttering. Mm-hmm. And it's not just about decluttering the material things, taking things off the shelves and everything. It's about understanding why that person holds on to what they're holding on to. And then that connection of releasing the emotional attachment to that process. And that's where the physical component of where one, as their home becomes lighter, their body becomes lighter. But if one doesn't go through that process of really digesting, well, why is it I'm holding on to this? What does this mean to me? It's almost like they miss a step of the emotional healing. Yeah, a very important step of the emotional healing behind decluttering. And from what I'm understanding and really learning about hoarding and decluttering for that matter, is if a person doesn't really go through this step process, their chances of I'm going to use the word re-hoarding will happen again, because they didn't go through the emotional release. And once they do that emotional release, that's when they find themselves less likely to start recollecting and being in the same position, give and take a year or two later.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
So I think that's a very important process.
That makes a lot of sense. And I can easily see how that maps out. How many times have you gone on not you guys specifically, because you're not necessarily of that mindset, but how many times have people gone on a diet, lost a bunch of weight, and then gained it back because they did miss that step of looking at, why do I eat? What triggers me eating? What kind of food? If I eat this one day and give myself a cheat day, am I fighting with the addiction to it for the rest of the week? Type of thing, and not doing the shifting internally that will cause the new reality to take hold. Brilliant stuff.
Exactly. Which aligns right into, I feel like you're in my head.
Wouldn't be the first time.
Yes, because it was something I wanted to say, but I was like, you know what, let me keep it at this point as opposed to going into that point. But you said it anyway, so it's a perfect alignment. Where again, why Aphrodite and I come together with this book, because it's not just about decluttering your home. It's really getting a basic understanding of how it's connected with, quote unquote, although it's not the term I use, but I'll use it today, dieting. Whereas when we get to that understanding of the emotional attachment we have with our material things, it's the same emotional attachment we have with food. So they work hand in hand.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. All right, ladies, I'm going to interrupt you just for a moment while we hear from our sponsor today, and then we'll continue this conversation in just 1 minute.
That is my favorite CV product that we have. You know how I mentioned that we have our own, like, as veterans, and there's other people too that have these chronic pain problems. Well, I've always had chronic pain problems, not only from being in the military, but from being a pediatric cancer survivor. I had a tumor that was hooked onto my spinal cord going down into my right leg. So I have kind of a little bit of a different curvature that always caused back pain. Ever since I started using that product, zero pain. And I used to down ibuprofen and use a special cream that I got from the VA that worked okay, but I didn't like the fact that I was downing ibuprofen 800 milligrams like they were candy. But ever since I started using this product, I'm 100% pain-free.
Welcome back, ladies, and our audience. Thank you so much for being with us today. Now, I want to ask Joanne, way back 10 years ago, when you originally had this inspiration for the book, what was that inspiration?
That inspiration actually came about when working with my clients and seeing the struggle that they would have wanting to release weight. And as you said before, in regards to, one would release the weight in reference to dieting, but not having that emotional connection to why they might be eating. And so I decided to put together, at that time, a 12-week Declutter and Reshape program where the participants and I met, I believe it was every week, once a week for 12 weeks, where we sat in a group and we went over their challenges, their success, and dived into the basic understanding to what their relationship was with the food, what their relationship was with themselves, and how to really realign their thought process behind, rather than losing the weight, getting into the energy space of what is this weight attached to, and how can we go about it differently. And with that being said, it created this thought process, like, I want to take this class and deliver it out in a bigger way. And at that time, it was like, well, how can I do this to deliver it in a bigger way? And at that time, my thought process wasn't about, oh, let me decide to have a TV show or a radio show. It was, let's put this in a book. So as mentioned earlier, I had asked Aphrodite to transcribe the classes. And at that point, I thought it was a magnificent idea, but didn't really have everything I needed at that. I thought I had everything at the time, but then when I really opened the book and I was reading through, I was like, there was just something missing. And that was the process then. And I had to follow what my intuition was saying to me at that time.
Right. That makes absolute sense. And don't you just love it when you have these? I know you've had them before. I know if I've had them. I'm assuming Aphrodite has had them as well. But these brilliant ideas that come 80% of the way, and then intuition says, you know what, this has got to simmer for a while. It's not quite ready yet. But you know that it's not something to throw away either, and you just kind of like bring it with you until what completes it shows up, right?
Exactly. Yes. And with my impatient personality,
Aren't we all?
I was really, really, really trying as much as possible to figure a way for that book to work back then.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like tearing into it and really trying to dissect, but my gut was just like, okay, Joe, it's just time just to put this on the side, and whatever's supposed to come from it will come when the time is right. It's not right for it now.
Mm-hmm.
But
Yeah.
the time is right to make your pre-order for when this book is published, correct? So do you have a publishing date, and how would you like our audience to reach out to you to make it a pre-sale order?
Well, reality of it all is our book is already on Amazon. So they can actually go and purchase the book. My big mission is to tomorrow, which is the 22nd, is to spend some time encouraging people to purchase the book tomorrow to possibly make it a bestseller.
Fantastic.
And whether it does or doesn't, I know I've had a conversation with Aphrodite over the last couple of weeks in regards to, is it important for our book to be a bestseller? Is that our goal here? Definitely not. And of course she can add her insight as well. But our goal here for this book is not about making $1 million from it. It's not about being a bestseller. It's about getting the information out there into the right hands of those who need the information that's in the book, because it is a really informative book. It gives a lot of insight on all aspects of decluttering and Feng Shui, dietary habits, exercising. We brought a lot of information together in this book. So it is available on Amazon, and they can go today and purchase it. They can go tomorrow and purchase it, wherever they want, whenever they want to. It's right there, Amazon.
Awesome. So I want you all to set a reminder on your phone now for 10 a.m. local time for you tomorrow. And I want you to go to Amazon, and I want you to buy the book on October 22nd, 2020. Let's see how many numbers that we can get in one single day. I can't wait to see what that will be. So Aphrodite, tell me a little bit more about what you have been doing as a Feng Shui consultant, as a business. Let me lead into that. I bought this great Feng Shui encyclopedia. Okay. It is way over my head. I have no idea what to do with it. Okay.
And you don't need it. Sorry to say. You don't need it. It's just a way to express yourself through how you decorate your room, your home. It's what you feel in your heart. You don't need any education behind it. But what's important to understand is that it all depends on the energy that you bring out. If you don't want it to help you, it's not going to help you. You have to want to get a change in your life. And Feng Shui just gives you minimal tools. The rest is up to you, up to your heart, up to your, your determination to get your life going the way you want it to go. I do offer, since COVID, I've been offering remote consultations. It's not the best way to achieve Feng Shui enhancements, but it is workable because you put your heart into it. And as long as you really want it to happen, it will happen. I also will go to actually walk through a home if the client wants me to. That's fine with me. But the remote work can also be successful as well.
Phenomenal.
Yeah.
Awesome. Well, we know, Joanne, that you are out here on the internet all the time, doing videos, offering classes, and just being present, like royally present, if you get what I mean, right?
Yes.
So tell me a little bit about, I know you've got a crystal class coming up, don't you?
I sure do. Yes, I sure do. In fact, just this morning, I actually changed the start date of the class. We were originally supposed to be starting on November 4th, but I changed it for two reasons. A, because like I said, I listen to spirit, and I was being guided to change the date to a further, to push it back, just to bring in more people to the class because it's such an amazing class. Anything dealing with crystals is amazing. And so our start date to the class is actually on November 11th. And just the date alone, 11/11, is a very powerful energy to start the class. And when we think of that and we think of crystals, and I think this really works really well into the Feng Shui as well. When you think of those numbers, the 11/11, and you think of the actual year, it adds up to an 8. And Aphrodite, correct me if I'm wrong, I believe I'm understanding this, that 8 is a very powerful number in Feng Shui. Is that correct?
I believe so. So is 3, but 8 is also a very important number. Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So with the crystal healing class, it's a 7-week class. As when I originally started the class, I had it as a 7-day class, and 7 days was really powerful, very intensive. And those who've ever worked with crystals know that crystal healing is extremely powerful. So powerful that you don't actually need crystals for the class. So if someone feels that, oh, I can't join the class because I don't have any crystals, that's not a worry because you don't need any. Just by me holding that crystal up, you'll gain the benefit of working with the crystal without having the crystals. However, by the time the 7 weeks are over, chances are you're going to want to go get 1 or 2. Yeah, and they have a huge connection with our weight and also with Feng Shui as well. So they can benefit based on the work that both Aphrodite and I do together in regards to some of the crystals. So in that class, you will actually learn how to use some crystals for the sole purpose of decluttering physical weight and also the material weight that's around you.
Right.
So
there are many.
What's that?
Aphrodite.
There are many crystals that Feng Shui uses to help enhance energy within a room. For instance, to clear a room or to bring in romance, you would use a rose amethyst. Pair it up in your bedroom or in an intimate location in your home that you want to energize with that love. Even if it's in the family room, to energize relationships within the family, it's important for that as well. So I could relate to Joanne's crystal therapy. It is very strong and powerful.
Awesome.
Yes.
Now, that's interesting that you brought that up, that specific crystal up, Aphrodite, because I have a beautiful pink amethyst that is naturally kind of heart-shaped, and it's druzy. There's like little teeny tiny points all over it. And you just kind of peeked in my head that I've got it on top of a bookcase in the living room. Now, that's not necessarily a bad thing, except for the fact that we never spend any time in the living room.
So maybe we should relocate that.
Maybe we should relocate that.
Yeah, I agree. Go for it.
Crystals are, in my experience, crystals are like fans. You know, when you leave a room, you turn the fan off because fans cool humans. They don't cool a room, right? And I would imagine crystals are very much the same way. They impact you in your space, right? They don't necessarily impact the house without a human's energy field moving through the house.
Exactly. It has to interact. Exactly. It's like magnets, they attract each other.
Right.
Yes.
Or repel, depending on which way they're pointed.
Yes.
Exactly.
Yes.
Exactly.
Speaking of repel, can either one of, I'm going to ask Aphrodite this first. Can you think of a placement in a person's home that might actually be like repelling the energy that they would rather attract?
Repel, in other words, to get away. Well, actually, when 2 doors are facing each other, if you let's say open the door to your home and there's another door right there, that's going to retract right away. You have to remedy it somehow. To let the energy come in and stay in, as opposed to it coming in and leaving right away. And that's also the case with where you place your mirrors. It's important mirrors can be very helpful, but they can also detract energy. So you need to know where to place it so that the energy is attracted in a positive way as opposed to a negative way.
I would love to talk more about that with you at some point because my studio here, I love my studio, but it is a converted bedroom with floor to ceiling sliding glass walls that are mirrored. And I wonder sometimes if I'm utilizing that to the best of my ability. You know, do I have everything situated in the right direction to make that work for me rather than against me? So awesome stuff. Awesome stuff. All right, ladies, anything else that you would like to just mention before we say goodbye to our audience today?
Just be true to yourselves and know the direction that you want your life to go, and just let it happen. Just, you know, stay on a positive route. You know, you'll get there. You'll get there.
Final thoughts from you, Joanne?
I would say the final thoughts is be open to whatever needs decluttering. Be open to it.
So simple, but so impactful. Thank you. All right, ladies, thank you so much for your time with me today and for what you're putting out into the world to help people lighten up. Thank you again.
Yes.
Have a fantastic week. Take care. Bye. When you open yourself up to actual energy work, makes that recovery progress so much faster. That recovery is possible. You do not have to live as a victim until your last days. You have unbelievable strength, and I know that because you're still here. Do you want to create something completely unrecognizable with your life? I can show you how.